I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone here, and ask Supervisor Stroud to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask the clerk to conduct a roll call, please.
Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mr. Leggett?
Here.
Mr. Diamond?
Here.
Mr. McDevitt?
Here.
Ms. Bramer? Here. Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Driscoll?
Here.
Mrs. Frazier? Here. Mr. Simpson?
Here.
Ms. Hogan? Here. Mr. Dickinson? Mr. Merlino?
Here.
Mr. Stroud?
Here.
Mr. Weil?
Here.
Mr. McGowan?
Here.
Ms. Seaver? Here. Mr. Beatty?
Here.
Ms. Shepler? Here. Mr. Garrity?
Here.
Chairman Thomas?
Here. We need a motion to approve the minutes from the December 20th, 2019 board meeting and the January 3rd, 2020 organizational. Moved by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Stroud. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we have the presentation of Employee of the Month.
Good morning. We actually have two awards to make this morning. If you recall, the December Employee of the Month, Brian LaFleur, who's the department head, wanted to be here for that presentation. Without objection, if Brian would like to come to the podium and make that announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. It's my pleasure to introduce to you and acknowledge our Employee of the Month, Mr. Jen Ramsey, who is the town clerk. Actually, she's a star. She really loves our office. She takes care of everything, and whether we're there or not, we appreciate her very much. All right, thank you. No?
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Photo out.
Go over a little bit.
Official photographer.
Thank you.
We have a second award for the month of January, and that employee is from DSS, from the Child Protective Unit. I believe Tammy Breen, who heads up that unit, is here to speak to this.
So I'm here to announce Stephanie Coleman. I've recommended Stephanie for Employee of the Month. She's a veteran worker in our Child Protective Unit. She is also a mentor to all new staff coming in. She takes them under her wing. She takes them out in the field. She helps them with our computer system, which can sometimes be pretty confusing to get through. She also takes on some of the more difficult cases that we have. She recently dealt with a serious child fatality and a physical abuse case. She's a go-to person at the department, and we really are grateful that we have her. Congratulations, Steph.
Okay, the next item is a report of the chairman. Well, it's been about 2 weeks. I think I've been here every day. Some days 2-3 hours, some days 5-6 hours. I'm getting accustomed to being chairman. On January 14th, I attended the FEMA application kickoff meeting, along with several other supervisors. That same day, I had a meeting with the chairman of Washington County, Sam Hall, and the administrator from Washington County, Krista Bolt. I also attended the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board meeting. And the next day, on the 15th, I attended a brief department head meeting at Administrator Moore's request. And last evening, along with several other supervisors, I attended Bud York's retirement party. So that's what I've done for the past 2 weeks. The next item is a report by committee chairman on past month's meetings. We haven't really had any meetings, so I guess there's not really anything to report. So we'll move on to a report by county administrator.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I'd just like to address the board. On your desk, there is a little pamphlet, couple-page information about an activity that we're trying to move forward with the census. It's a last minute. It will be brought to the floor, hopefully by Administrator Moore. But I did want to bring this up to all the board members. You know from past history that I tend to draw exception to any kind of resolutions that are brought in front of us last minute without a chance to discuss them. But in this instance, I think it's important that we seriously consider moving forward with a request to start preparing for the census. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it to others, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any, yes?
Cornell
Supervisor.
Cooperative Extension did have a meeting.
Okay.
It was their annual meeting and organizational. It was really productive, and several supervisors attended, and I appreciate your attendance. They are conducting their volunteer income tax assistance program starting January 28th and running through April 9th. This program offers free tax help to families and individuals whose household income is below $57,000. I don't know about the rest of you, but I qualify. Last year, CCE prepared 664 tax returns, a 43% increase from the previous year. Total refunds were $909,000 to citizens of Warren County. That saved 664 individuals and families $215,000 in tax prep. They also have programs with Master Gardeners. The Youth Fair Committee's chosen theme for this year is homesteading. And on Thursday, January 30th at 6:30, a 4-H Adirondack Guide orientation meeting will be held at the CCC office. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything anyone else would like to report? Okay, we'll move on to the report of the county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The employee anniversaries that we would like to announce this month, we have 3. With 30 years is our probation director, Bob Usey. Bob is tremendous. Anybody that's ever worked with him knows that. And I don't know how it's possible for Bob to have 30 years because he doesn't look much older than 40. William Maston from DPW has 25 years, and Mary Kate Livingston from DSS has 20 years. Thanks to all these employees for their dedication to their careers in Warren County and to the taxpayers of Warren County. As you all know, the bail and discovery reform laws went into effect on January 1st, and it's our intention to keep this board informed of the real-world effects of this new legislation, and we'll do so regularly at the board meetings and at the Criminal Justice Committee meetings. As of today, there are 82 inmates in the Warren County Jail, which is down from the low hundreds most of last year. Towards the end of the year, it started to dip below 100. It's been as low as 70, but it's up a little bit today. The jail, just for reference, is built for 186. Since January 1st, 8 individuals have been released from the jail due to the new state law. I thought it was appropriate to refrain at this time from talking about who those people were in terms of their names, but I'll let you know the charges that they were previously being held in the jail under. There was one for third-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance, one for fifth-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance, one for seventh-degree criminal possession of a controlled substance. There was one for driving while ability impaired by drugs. There was one for making terroristic threats. There was one for fourth-degree grand larceny, one for DWI, and there was one for first-degree burglary. I can get details if any of you would like on any of these cases. If you want to get in touch with me after the meeting and we can talk to the sheriff. I do have some details on 2 of these because I figured that they would stand out among the rest. The making terroristic threats, this individual made a threat on November 4th to shoot up the county human services building. The perpetrator was located immediately and interviewed and made admissions relating to their statements. The sheriff's department applied for a warrant, and that perpetrator went to jail on December 11th. Judge Hall did the arraignment and remanded that person to our correctional facility, and that person was released on January 1st. The county has a restraining order in place to protect our employees, and building security has a picture of this individual in the event that they do return to the building. On the burglary first degree, this was a 21-year-old male who broke into a home and assaulted the resident of the home. The resident sustained significant injuries, and that individual was let back out. Again, if there's any questions about any of this, I'd be happy to talk with the sheriff and get you whatever information you need. I believe in your folders you all have the amended resolutions. It's Resolution 12, Resolution 14, Resolution 15, and Resolution 17. Additionally, Resolution 22 appointing members to the IDA, and Resolution 23 appointing Lynn Kyle as Warren County Coroner. These 2 resolutions, as well as the changes in the 4 that I mentioned previously, were not in the initial mailing. The one additional resolution that I have for today that Supervisor Wild mentioned has to do with the census. As you all know, this year is going to be the first fully online census. Therefore, there have been some changes in the recommendations as to how we conduct the census, how the feds, I should say, conduct the census. The U.S. Census Bureau has done a lot of trainings all around the country. Our planning office, and Wayne and Sarah are here, has been the focal point of that training. The idea here is the federal government has identified populations that are traditionally undercounted. They include rural populations, the elderly, minorities, renters, low-income people, and young children. Those are the top areas. And the federal government has recommended ways that we can better reach them, to let them know that the census is taking place this year and encourage that they participate. One of the ways that they've done this is they've recommended the types of committees locally that we ought to establish to come up with a strategy. And our committees, I'm sure I won't get all of the organizations, but I'll mention some of the agencies that have representation on our local committee. Our Public Health Department, our Office for the Aging, the Head Start Program, North Country Ministry, Habitat for Humanity, NAACP, the Association for the Blind, Paul Jenkins, Superintendent of Glens Falls Schools, the Council of Churches, former Supervisor Loeb is on this group, I believe, Crandall Library, Southern Adirondack Library Systems, Glens Falls Housing Authority, and I'm sure there's others that I missed, but those are some of them. Anyway, working with our planning office, this group has come up with a strategy, an outreach program. The cost of this program is $99,798. That corresponds with a state grant that we've been told that we will be eligible for. The state through Empire State Development, came up with amounts that each county will qualify for, and our amount is $99,800. We really need to get this program up and running. To wait until the February board meeting, we might as well not have a program if we don't have authority to hire vendors and do the things that need to be done, because the count starts April 1st, and the federal government's going to start sending out mailings early March. So we did think that because of that, it was appropriate to bring this program to you today, and frankly, we were waiting for assurances from the state that we will get this money, because the nature of our request today is going to be dependent on how much information we could get out of the state. If we had an award letter in hand, we would be asking you to amend the county budget today for the full $100,000 and authorize the full contract to get this work going. But we don't yet have that assurance in place from the state. We worked right up until yesterday afternoon trying to get that to make your jobs easier today. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to get that. So what we're asking for today, just to get the work going in hopes that we have assurances from the state on the funding in time for the February meeting, is for approval of a contract with the Southern Adirondack Library System to administer Phase 1 of Warren County's U.S. Census Outreach Program in an amount not to exceed $25,000, which is subject to potential reimbursement by New York State. And the Deputy Treasurer is here as well. He's taken a look at the expense authority that's in the planning budget. We would also ask that we authorize a budget transfer from contingency for $25,000 to cover these activities, with the intention that that money will be transferred back into contingency when we have what we need from the state to make the budget amendment for $100,000. I know that this is a lot to take in. I hate doing resolutions this way. I had detailed conversations yesterday with the Deputy Director of State Operations, who works directly for the governor and is overseeing the funding mechanisms. He understands why we're doing what we're doing here. Says that he can't make any guarantees that we will get reimbursed for the entirety of this program. The state just isn't ready yet. The state basically has to release a template that we will fill out to apply for this funding. And the earliest possible date that the state can release that template is January 23rd. And once that template is released, we will populate it, fill it out with the program, and you all have the handout as to what that budget would be and how we think that this program ought to go. And then the state's going to have to look through it and figure out which costs they approve and which they don't approve. I've spoken with the state about hiring the Southern Adirondack Library System to honcho this effort, and the state says that there will be a process, a second process for groups that fulfill that role to qualify themselves with the state. The state's not ready to release what will need to be done in terms of getting these organizations qualified, but they said that the Southern Adirondack Library System sounds like it will be an agency that would be qualified. But we really don't know. We're taking a leap of faith.
Okay. Yes, you have a motion to waive the rules?
I do, sure. And I just wanted to make a comment. In the fall, myself and Supervisor Hogan and Supervisor Simpson all attended a NACO conference where they talked about the problems and how to get the census up and off the ground. And one of the things was really making sure that you bring in a lot of community organizations. So I'm really happy to hear that we are going through the Southern Adirondack Library System, because I think that that will be a great way to collaborate with all these different agencies. So I applaud the planning department for getting that underway. And I was not able to go to the meeting on Monday, but I was at the prior census meeting in the county. So I think we're doing a really good job, and I am comfortable waiving the rules today so that we can get this off the ground and get the money ready to go.
We have a second. Supervisor Dickinson? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next, we need someone to introduce the resolution.
Sure.
Moved by
Move.
Supervisor Bramer, seconded by Supervisor Simpson. Further discussion. Yes, Supervisor
Sure,
Wild.
briefly, thank you. One of the things that came up in conversation was what we stand to lose. A 1% loss or undercount would result in a $20 million loss or $2 million per year loss in terms of federal funding. So it's really important that we move forward with this. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment on the proposed resolution? All in favor of the resolution being voted on at a later date. This is a resolution to enter into a contract with the Southern Adirondack Library System for Phase 1 of our Census project. $25,000 will be taken from contingent to fund this, and the intent is to be reimbursed by the Department of State once we expend this money. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that'll be resolution.
Yep, the waiving the rules resolution will be number 24, and the authorizing contract with Southern Adirondack Library System will be 25. Resolution 25 will be subject to a roll call vote because there is a budget transfer.
Right.
And to conclude my report, my typical summary of my activities on the 20th of December, right after our previous board meeting, I had an orientation with the three newly elected supervisors, which I thought went very well. It was very nice to spend some time with Dan and Rachel and Susan. Thank you for coming. On January 6th, I went to the Employment and Training Office. Been a long time in coming, long overdue. I had never actually physically been in the office. I wanted to go in there and talk to Liza, our new department head, about her first month and her plans going forward, and also to meet the staff. We had a great meeting. And then 2 days later, on the 8th, Liza and I met with the Vice President of SUNY Adirondack and their workforce development people so that we have an idea, a better idea of what they're doing. They have a better idea of what we're doing and how we can collaborate to get better results. The following day, January 9th, I met with the ad workshop. They gave me a rundown of the program that they're envisioning for this year, the tourism advertising program. And that information will also be presented to the tourism committee. That same day, that afternoon, I attended a meeting at the Glens Falls, at the Cool Insuring Arena, pardon me. It was an organizational meeting for the Special Olympics, which will be held here in Glens Falls, October 23rd and 24th. Exciting event, and we had a whole lot of people from the community that were there that are going to pull together and make this a really special thing for Glens Falls and for the Special Olympics. And then on January 14th, as the chairman alluded to, we had a meeting with our counterparts from Washington County to discuss how our two counties can collaborate better on a number of initiatives, and that includes economic development, the Veterans Peer-to-Peer Program, state advocacy efforts, state budget and other legislative efforts, doing more to go to Albany together, SUNY Adirondack, as well as mental health. As you know, our mental health department also serves Washington County. It was a great meeting, and I'm excited about what we can do together with Washington County. And that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the administrator? Yes, Supervisor. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure if this is appropriate in terms of responding to his report, or if I just missed, obviously, during activities or past month meeting updates. But one in particular, and perhaps our administrator can address it, Supervisor Bramer just brought up the benefit that they received attending the NACO conference in the fall. And I understand we're members of the national organization. I had spoken with a clerk of the board last month regarding it. I was told that would be addressed today. Is that something that, I don't see on the agenda? Are we participating in that or have an opportunity to be represented at that this February?
It's not my decision.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and we should address it.
You don't have to do it right now. I just want to bring it up before the end of the meeting, given the time sensitivity.
Okay. After we finish resolutions, we'll discuss it.
Okay. And my other, and we can go back to it, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Standing Committee with Science Act as it would relate to a lot of the supervisors, the three resolutions that are pending on that at this brief time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we have the county attorney's report.
I don't have a report today, but my first committee meeting is going to be very long this month.
Okay. Reading of communications.
We have Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting Corp. Financial Report dated October 31, 2019. Warren County Probation Department Monthly Report of Criminal and Family Workloads for November 2019. Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting Corp. November payment in the amount of $3,273. Essex County Resolution Number 382 of 2019. Entitled Resolution in the Matter of the Surface Transportation Board Decision, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Adverse Abandonment, Saratoga and North Creek Railway, commonly known as the Sanford Lake Branch or the Tahoe Line, between North Creek and the former Tahoe Mine in the town of Newcomb, New York, and request for abeyance. Town of Queensbury Resolution Number 59 of 2020, resolution setting public hearing on proposed local law to extend temporary moratorium on installation of ground-mounted solar energy systems. All of this correspondence was emailed to the board yesterday with the exception of the OTB financial report, which is bound, and that is in my office if anyone would like to take a look at it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have reading of resolutions.
Proposed resolution numbers 9 through 21 were distributed to the members of the Board of Supervisors and posted to the Warren County website last week. Resolution numbers 12, 14, 15, and 17 were amended after mailing. The amended resolutions were emailed to the board and posted to the county website yesterday. Copies are in your folders. A motion is needed to approve amendments to resolution numbers 12, 14, 15, and 17 as provided.
Someone care to move that? Moved by Supervisor Dickinson, seconded by Supervisor McGowan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Resolutions 22 and 23 were after mailing. Those are in your folders. They were distributed yesterday, too. A motion is needed to bring resolution numbers 22 and 23 to the floor.
motion by Supervisor Merlino, seconded by Supervisor Driscoll. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Point of order, I
Yes.
apologize. Do we have an opportunity request for a roll call?
Yes, we're about to do that. Yes, you have.
Prior to I thought we just voted on 22 and 23.
No, we just brought them to the floor.
To bring it to the floor.
Right.
My apologies. At this point, though, can we just have a clarification on the second for a roll call discussion that we had last month? I thought our county administrator was going to clarify that in his report this month.
What was the question?
Last month at the reorg meeting, there was a discussion whether a second was required and a request for a roll call, and the decision was made that it was.
Oh, right. Yeah, my apologies. I said that there was that the second was required. I went back afterwards and looked at the rules of the board, and a second it was not required in that situation. And I believe we got the second. If I recall, Supervisor Bramer seconded that motion. I'm sorry. I should have been more familiar with the rules.
We all make mistakes.
I apologize, too.
I'm only asking to make sure that I don't have to request a second on a roll call moving forward.
Okay. Now you have one that you want a roll call? Oh, we didn't vote on it? Okay. All in favor of bringing resolutions 22 and 23 to the floor? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, you would like a roll call?
I'm stopping. Sure, I apologize. Thoroughly.
Are there any other? Yes,
Roll call on number 22, please, resolution 22.
number 22. Any other roll calls? Okay, discussion. Is there any comment from the public on any of the proposed resolutions for today? If not, discussion from the board.
On the resolutions?
Yes. Mr. Beatty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 22, I'll be voting against. I don't see Travis Whitehead's name on the list. He's probably the most effective representative on that Washington Warren County agency. and to admit him on that agency is a huge disservice to the taxpayers and to the residents. So I will be strongly voting against that resolution. I do feel, though, that the other individuals on there, Mr. Bruno, Leggett, Simpson, Wild, they're all fine people, and I think they'll do a good job. But to admit probably the most effective tax defender in the county is a huge disservice, and I'll be voting against that.
Thank you. Any other discussion on resolutions? Okay. Okay, the next item is to vote on resolutions. Yeah, we probably should. Right. Up. All right. Before we vote on resolutions, let's have the discussion about the NICO conference and how the board wants to handle that. Yes, Supervisor
Chairman,
Simpson.
as a past member, or as a member that has gone to a past NACO conference, I think it was an amazing experience. It furthered my knowledge in county business, and I would encourage the board to support somebody that I'm not going to the conference this year. I've made different arrangements, but I would support other supervisors having that opportunity. I think it's a very enriching opportunity. You're working with county representatives from throughout the country. Every state is recognized there, and it was a great experience to draw information.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just think any opportunity that we have to provide training, especially, I know additional training is often offered to our town supervisors, which makes up a little more than half the board, but for our at-large ward representatives to have an opportunity to also continue training in county government is critical, and maybe it's just budgeting appropriately to be able to, or additionally if need be, into those line items to support that. But I too agree with Supervisor Simpson that this is an important training and one that I hope is offered to members that are interested in attending. Due to the time sensitivity, though, it's my understanding it would have to be discussed today and approved.
Right, I think so. My opinion is that we should probably send 4 people, but that's just my opinion. It's up to the board. If we have 4 people that want to attend. Yes, Mr.
I'd like to attend that conference.
Okay, we have 1. Ms. Sieber, 2.
Yes, please.
Do we have any others?
Mr. Chairman, what are the dates?
That I'm not sure about. It's in, I think it's February? Yes.
Who were the members that attended last?
Last year, Supervisor Loeb, Supervisor Bramer, right? Supervisor Simpson,
Yeah, and I went last year.
and
Garrett.
Supervisor Garrity.
And Gene went.
And Dean.
5.
5.
No, I don't
Okay.
think Loeb.
No, there was 2 different ones. I didn't go to NACO, but we went down for a meeting.
You were
went.
talking about the White House thing.
Yeah.
The NACO conference, it was just me, Simpson. It was just the 2 of us.
Oh, okay.
Was Bill there?
No, Bill was there on the other trip. That was on the
The
first.
conference, I think it was just the 2 of us from
Okay.
Warrentown. Right?
The conference is February 29th through March 4th. Supervisor Hogan.
Just out of curiosity, do we know what the cost per participant is, or ballpark?
15. We estimate about $1,500.
That includes travel and...
Yep. That's per person. Right. Would you like to go?
No, I was thinking for consistency's sake, whoever went back, see that again, that there was something about being up to speed on
Mhm.
the ones that went last year. So we
Good point. Supervisor Bramer?
That is a good point. It is more than just training. There is a lot of information that we can bring back to the county. I am not able to go, but I would really encourage you, if we do pass this, that you take as many notes as you can and bring them back home to us. Thanks.
Any other takers? Okay. Can we have a resolution to send Supervisor Beatty and Supervisor Sieber to the NICO conference? Moved by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Dickinson. Any other discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was to waive the rules.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm at the wrong meeting.
Oh, you want to waive the rules and then put it on, right?
I think so.
Okay.
You need to waive the rules.
Right.
I'll waive the rules.
Moved by Mr. Garrity, seconded by Mr. Dickinson. To waive the rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we need a resolution to authorize out-of-state travel.
I'll move it.
Moved by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Dickinson. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that'll be resolution number
26.
26.
Well, 26 will be waiving the rules, 27 will be authorizing out-of-state travel. Neither of those require a roll call unless someone else.
Now we'll have a vote on resolutions.
Okay, we only have two roll calls. The first one is on Resolution 22, which is appointing members to the Warren Washington County IDA. Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Mr. Wild?
As a member of the board, I must recuse myself.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Ms. Sieber,
No.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Ms. Shepler?
No.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yeah.
Mr. Leggett? Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
As a member, I'll recuse myself.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
I'm a board member, so I guess I have to abstain. I don't know, is that not?
You don't have to. If it's pursuant to a public board, you don't have to abstain from voting on it.
Okay, yeah.
Ms. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes.
It does pass with a total of 645, four. And Resolution 25, that's the resolution authorizing a contract with Southern Adirondack Library System for the Phase 1 of the Census Outreach Plan and authorizing a transfer from the contingent account for $25,000. Mr. Conover?
Yeah.
Mr. Leggett? Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Ms. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Ms. Sieber,
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Ms. Shepler?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes.
Collective on the rest.
Collective on the rest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next item is announcements. Anyone have any announcements? Yes, Supervisor Sieber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize that I missed this earlier regarding activities for the past month, but I came on board January 1st. So I wanted to update the board that I was appointed to the NISAC Standing Committee on Public Safety, and there are 3 resolutions that will be discussed at the NISAC conference. And for those of you where this may be relevant, I'm happy to bring forward any concerns or questions that you might have at that time, which is why I wanted to talk about it today. The first is a resolution in support of state legislation addressing the volunteer and firefighter and EMS recruitment and retention crisis. I know that's something that Supervisor Garrity is addressing within his new committee that's been formed. The second is a resolution in supporting funding of hazardous dam remediation. And the last resolution is in support of efforts to improve probation and alternatives to incarceration in New York in order to protect the public and reduce reliance on prisons, jails, and detention. So to the extent there's any feedback you would like represented from Warren County, the NISAC conference on that committee, please feel free to let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Gary.
Supervisor Hogan and myself attended a Rural School Boards Association meetings in Warrensburg last Tuesday night. Very informative. I got a lot out of it, and I'm sure Andrea did too. You know, it talks about what's happening to the schools in upstate and the disparity in the school funding and the reduction in the number of students upstate. So I found it very informative, and there will be a report. They had 8 of these meetings across the state, and they plan on putting out a report. And the next one is long awaited. I know this is not a hot button topic for a lot of people, but they did turn on the sewer line from Countryside and Cornell Cooperative Station, or Cooperative Extension, so they are now, we are now taking their sewer, I'll be nice about it, from Cornell and Countryside. And as far as I know, it's working without any hitches, so to speak. So I'm not aware of any problems with it.
Thank you.
Long awaited.
Bill. Yes, Supervisor
Chairman,
Simpson.
I just want to let everybody know also that we have a conference up every year in Public Local Government, Adirondack Local Government Day. It's April 29th, April 30th. We did have a planning session yesterday. We're going to have topics, updates on the cellular. We should have information from the state as to the direction that they're moving in, supporting increasing the coverage. And I know that's been an important subject that we've discussed. And also, we're going to find out the details of the proposed $3 billion bond act, some other urgent legislation. So,
Certainly, Placid.
please update your calendar.
Is that in Lake Placid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Same place.
Supervisor Baden.
Yeah, I'd just like to piggyback on Mr. Garrity's, that rural conference on education, which was held up in Warrensburg. For 8 years now, we've had a significant decrease in student population in the North Country. As a Queensbury School Board member, I identified it early on as a significant problem. In fact, at Queensbury, the master plan had Queensbury growing to over 4,400 students, and I said, that's just plain bogus. I said, just the opposite's occurring. And they said, well, look at the master plan. And I said, I did, and it's bogus. We're decreasing in student population, not increasing. And Queensbury's had, I think, now 10 or 11 years of decreases in student population. But it's not just Queensbury. It's every other school in upstate New York, and there's reasons for it. And there's clear reasons for it. It's not just one reason, it's a number of reasons. It's multiple reasons. But that's one of the areas that we often just say, oh, yeah, we lost some more students, and we lost some more people up here, and that's just the way it is. And we as a group should be more proactive in addressing these serious concerns, because the fact of the matter is we keep losing our neighbors, and our neighbors are moving out with their kids, and we don't have anybody left. So 10, 20 years from now, unless we start putting a tourniquet on this problem, there's going to be very few of us around in this room even left. They probably have all moved to Florida. So anyway, I appreciate that you addressing that, Mr. Garrity. I'm sorry I couldn't attend it. I was asked to, but Mr. Little, who's head of that association, was very clear and succinct, and he feels it's almost a crisis situation as well as I do. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Bramer.
On that note, I would like to invite everyone and their children to come down to Crandall Pond on January 31st in the evening. We're having a brand new event called Fire and Ice, where we were opening the pond officially to people. Councilwoman Palmer, who represents the 3rd Ward, has worked very hard to set this up for the first time, and it's going to be a really neat event. We're going to have hot chocolate and some warming fires. So if you want to come, with our children who are here in the community, please join us and bring your own coffee mug. It's a zero waste event. Thank you.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
I have one announcement. I would like to announce a Farm Talks program put on by Soil and Water Conservation District. It's January 31st at the Department of Environmental Conservation building in Warrensburg from 6 to 8 p.m. And the title of it is Don't Be Chicken. Master Pasteurized Poultry with Bob Brody. So, hope to see you all there. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This Sunday is the annual Martin Luther King Day March, beginning at 3:30 at Glens Falls City Hall, marching to the Christchurch United Methodist at about 4 o'clock for storytelling, prayer, a lot of different types of music from all ages. The Master of Ceremony will be former Glens Falls City Mayor Bob Reagan, and it's a nonpartisan event and always draws a good crowd. Thanks.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Supervisor Beatty, seconded by Supervisor Dickinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?